What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of an ongoing series talking about comic speculation and the current state of the market. And this episode is going to be about cosmic characters. So stay tuned and enjoy the video. First book up on the chopping block is Journey to Mystery number 118. Very affordable journey into Mystery Key. Not a whole lot of affordable keys in that run, but here's a classic Thor villain. We already saw him in the MCU, but there's still room for him to come back. Who knows? I mean, he was kind of dismantled in S.H.I.E.L.D., but who knows? This is still a cheap book to get. But right now, it's still a very affordable book. I got my copy in Colorado, I think, for $30 at the time. And not to rag on Chuck, of course, but it's funny. I went to Mile High, and he had a very similar graded copy up there for, I think, 400 raw, something like this, something crazy. I thought that was funny. But again, not to rag on Chuck. I love that guy. But right now, you can buy them online for a solid copy in that $30 to $70 range. It's been selling for probably 50 to 70 if you're looking at the current listings. But it's a really affordable book, honestly. This is one to jump onto. We've already seen it in the MCU, but how often can you find a Journey to Mystery Key for that relatively cheap? And honestly, it's a classic Thor character. Very, very undervalued book. A lot of room to grow. Keeping with a cosmic theme for the rest of the video, Aliens #1, First Appearance of the Xenomorph, is a hot book. Honestly, it's kind of been coasting back, but even still, first prints go anywhere from $50 to $100 still, depending on condition, of course. But later printings is one thing to keep an eye out for. The interior on the indica will show you which print it will be. It doesn't say anything about printing. The first printing. Mine is a fourth printing, but I think I paid $0.25 for this book, so I don't really care. But still, at the end of the day, it's even the later printings can be a little bit of money, $10 to $30 range. But overall, the Aliens #1 is a book to keep an eye out on. Especially since Marvel is now doing that Aliens run, and it's been, going on with issue 12 or something like that. It's been going on for a little while. And finally, they have the rights back to Predator. And that Predator book is coming back around since there's that whole lawsuit with the family and all that. But that kind of leads us into a little bonus book here. Especially now that that book is coming, Predator #1 is a climbing issue. I mean, right now, sales are from $40 to $50, but you can still find this book for cheap out in the wild. I found this one earlier last year, I think, for $5 or so at a Second and Charles. I mean, so you can still find them. They're still findable. Mine's the first print. It's got some issues on it for $5. I was gonna grab it regardless. I mean, who cares about a few spine ticks, But this is a pair of books that you should keep an eye out for. Even that Aliens #2, First Appearance of the Queen, that's a sleeper book. Most people don't talk about that book. Even throughout all the other Dark Horse series, there's a lot of first appearances. Bishop, Ripley, there's all kinds of stuff to keep an eye out for. And even original characters and original xenomorphs. Like the, and Genesis, I think the book's called, where the red xenomorphs. There's all kinds of stuff. But now that we're coming over to Marvel, there's even more first appearances, even more books to carry. But right now, these are two classic issues to keep an eye out for. Our next issue here is Fantastic Four #65, First Appearance of Ronan the Accuser and the Supreme Intelligence, and I think a few other minor characters. But I mean, the Kree, they're so important in Marvel history, and I know we've seen both of these characters already, but this is such a cheap book right now. I think I bought my copy a few months back for like $30, and the really only big issue on it was that big color break across the front, but low grade is always better than no grade. Honestly, this is really a future evergreen book. This is something to keep an eye out for. I know we've already seen it, but trust me, this book has so much room to grow. And honestly, there's a scary small amount of sold listings recently. I mean, the last one was sold as a solid mid-grade copy for like $20. So this is a book you can find. Right now, you can probably get a mid-grade copy for $40 or so on eBay. And always check your LCSs first. You never know what you're gonna find in the wild. But this is a book to keep an eye out for. It's an evergreen. It's first appearance of very important characters to the Inhumans, from Fantastic Four to the Eternals. All characters we're gonna see keep on popping up in the MCU. So who knows? This book might get hot again. Moving on to a book you can find in the dollar bin still. Teen Titans #20. First appearance of Crush, Lobo's daughter. Well, at least it's her first full appearance. There's two other books that predate this that kind of get a little hot from time to time. One of them, Teen Titans Special #1. A book you still find in the dollar bin. I haven't had any luck yet, but you might. Maybe I will eventually. Who knows? And the other one, I believe it's Lobo #56. There's a separate Lobo's daughter that shows up. What I find to be interesting is there's only 198 on the CGC census for the 56, so that might be a book to keep an eye out for as well. But Teen Titans 20 is currently her first full appearance, And we all know Lobo is one of those very few 90s DC characters that still kind of is a big deal. I mean, it's been a book on its uphill for quite a while now, kind of stuck in the $100-$120 range, but regardless, it's a book that's here to stay. And everybody thinks of Lobo along the same lines as Deadpool and Cable, from those classic 90s characters that are still kind of, well, they're really, honestly, still kind of spec books. Cable and Deadpool would still pull a lot more than Lobo does, but I think Lobo's one of, if not the only big 90s DC character, to be honest. But there's other good DC characters came out in the 90s, but he's the only one that's really pulled the amount of money and been on that same uphill for as long as he has. Plus, Crush is part of the next generation of characters there with Damian Wayne leading the new Teen Titans. And Damian, as we all know, is here to stay. And I think Crush has some mainstay to her as well. I mean, we can definitely see a lot more coming out of her from the foreseeable future. Moving on, at least. We all know Nova is coming. We've been kind of talking about it for the last 6 years, and there's not that many Nova keys. I mean, Nova 1, Marvel Point 1, whatever. But Fantastic Four number 208 is a minor first appearance of the Champions of Xandar. I mean, there's not a whole lot of Nova books. I mean, there's another Fantastic Four issue, first appearance of the Core, I believe, and there's not a whole lot else. I mean, there's going to be villains, I'm sure, that are going to pop off in this show, but this is one of those Nova characters that, you know, maybe these guys are the last surviving Nova Corps men. I mean, who knows? I think the show is going to be about Sam Alexander after Richard Rider had died in the front lines defending the Infinity Stone from Thanos, going back to Infinity War in that timeline. And he's going to leave a helmet, kind of like Superman's father, with his consciousness or some sort of recording of him that's going to send off to Sam Alexander. And we're going to get, his origin through that. But who knows? I guess we're going to see. And, this is just one of those books you can find in the dollar bin, find it really cheap. It's a book that I've been stockpiling, and keep an eye out for it. You never know what you're going to find. Speaking of that Marvel Point 1, here it is, First Alexander. Now, this is a book that we've all been hunting for quite some time now. I'm sure I have some other copies laying around, but this is a book everyone's been buying from $1 to $20. If you find anything in that range today, I mean, definitely jump all over it. Honestly, I'd even say if you're a little late to it, $30 still isn't a bad buy. I'm not exactly sure where it's at since the announcement, but I'm sure it's climbing, because I think we all kind of know this is the book. At least I think it is. So I guess we'll see what comes of it. There's one thing to keep an eye out for. There's 3 or 4 of these Marvel Point 1s. There's this one, the Kamala Khan one. I think there's 2 others. One with America Chavez in the cover. And I think there's a 4th one if I'm not mistaken. But the one with the Watcher on the cover, I think there's a variant to this as well to keep an eye out on. This is a book to buy up, and you guys have been buying it up for years now. But this is still a book that, if you find it for cheap, this is definitely worth grabbing. Even if they don't do Sam Alexander, even though I think they do since they're going to lean young with the MCU, this is still a good book to gamble on. For cheap, honestly. With a little bit more DC love in us, Legion of Superheroes number 298 is first appearance of Amethyst, Princess of the Gem World. This is one of those characters that just gets overlooked time and time again. Honestly, she's pretty cool. I mean, she's been stuck in the next generation of heroes ever since her creation, and now she's part of the Young Justice team, and she's, kind of coincided with them for quite a while. But this is one of those runs that litter dollar bins. I mean, this is an overlooked book. This, the Dark Side arc, and a few other issues are always good pickups in the dollar bins. Honestly, Legion of Superheroes has some good reads, if anything, but still, first appearances are always great to pick up, and this is one to keep an eye out on. Now, our next one deserves a little bit of explaining. Ultimate Fantastic Four, number 1, kind of is first appearance of the Maker. I mean, you're probably thinking, isn't that Ultimate Fallout number 4? Yet, technically, this is first appearance of that same Reed Richards, who later becomes the Maker. He just doesn't don that dumb chrome helmet and take the moniker the Maker until that issue. But that book is always going to be expensive, first appearance of Miles, and if Miles ever comes in MCU, that book's going to flood eBay. God forbid that and that Darth Vader 3 hit eBay the same week. Oh my god, eBay's going to crash. But so many people have been stockpiling that book, it's ridiculous. And this is one that you still find in the dollar bin, it's almost $5. Still a good book to grab. I mean, let's be honest, there's so much opportunity left of Reed Richards in the MCU. We know Fantastic Four is coming. I think it should be a show all about Fantastic Four going through the cosmos, and not just one of those 4 or 6 episode shows Disney Plus has been giving us. I want like a Daredevil-ish long show. Like, give me 10, 12, 20 episodes, whatever. The Fantastic Four, exploring the cosmos. You could have an origin issue, or episode, rather. have an episode about Doctor Doom's origin, Silver Surfer's origin with Galactus and all that. But I want to see them explore the cosmos. You maybe get the champions of the Nova Corps through there or something like that. But honestly, I think the maker, he could be a good possibility, and that's not going to make Ultimate Fallout 4 jump in any way. And this is a $1 book, $5 book. So guys need a book to pump and dump, and this is one of those books that could hit eBay and could be a hot book soon. Who knows? Now, if we're doing the Fantastic Four, we need some villains. Fantastic Four 211 is first appearance of Terrax the Tamer, and he's one of the many Galactus heralds, but he's one of the better ones. You know, we saw earlier this past year, Nova, Frankie Ray, that is, the other herald of Galactus, kind of blew up for a little while. She came back down. It's probably like a $10, $20 book again. Probably back in that affordable range, time to buy, but Terrax is, he's edging up in that getting ready to explode kind of thing, because those heralds are blowing up. I mean, look at Airwalker. Like, I love Airwalker. I think he's a fun character, but would I pay, the $75 that book's commending right now? No, for me, it's like a $30, $40 book at the max for a really nice copy. And, if I find it for that, I'll grab it, but I don't think I'll be spending $70, $80 on a first Airwalker anytime soon. But who knows? Terrax, that's a good one to use for that show, or even the after-mentioned Nova Corps show. He could be a great villain in there. Who knows? I mean, be interested to see the Nova kind of get set up in the Fantastic Four show, and then later, Terrax kind of jumps ship over the Nova show. Who knows? Who knows what they're going to do? But this is a good book to buy for cheap, too. Selling for $20, $30 online. I mean, it's a cheap book. And like I said, he's a Herald of Galactus. I mean, there's really not a whole lot of cheap heralds right now. And, out of the good ones, Terrax makes that, top 5, top 10 list for the best heralds. I mean, there's a lot of heralds out there, but Terrax is pretty far up there. So I think this is a book that you might want to check your LCS for in that $5 bins. Maybe it's in there. And maybe, pop online at some point. Get it before it's too late. Winding the video down here, jump onto our last book, Thor 134. This is a book I've been talking about for a while. I mean, I'm putting my Thor run together. I'm trying to get all the issues, but this is one of those keys I was worried was going to pop off before I grabbed it, but I think I got it for $80, $100, something like that, and, it's a pretty solid copy. I'm very happy with it. Right now, you can see sales in it for $200, $300, some, smaller sales, good bids. But this is a hot book. I mean, ever since the Mark Hamill rumors, this book's been climbing. I think he's cast now, I believe. I don't know if that rumor is 100% true. I don't think it's going to be Mark Hamill anymore, but the original rumor was that Mark Hamill was going to play him because he was neighbors with James Gunn, but I don't think that's the truth, sadly. But who knows, maybe he's going to be the voice. Who knows? But I think Rocket's going to die in this upcoming Guardians movie, and we know High Evolutionary's in it. I mean, we saw those set photos recently. It's definitely a High Evolutionary movie, and I kind of hope he survives past this. I mean, he's got a lot of history with the Savage Land, the X-Men, Thor, even though I don't know how much we're going to do with Odin's Son past this Thor 4 movie, but still. He has a lot of rich history with a lot of characters to the Marvel Universe, and I think High Evolutionary is one of my favorite villains, honestly. He's up there with Kang and, Thanos and all of them. So I think High Evolutionary has some mainstay to him, and he can stick around. This is a good, if you can find this book for cheap still, I mean, jump all over it. But don't worry, there's still some other keys around there that you might be able to grab. Because if you can't afford this book right now, Marvel Spectacular number 5 is a good reprint option, you know what I mean? It's a cool cover swipe, or not cover swipe, but it's a color swap, I should say. And it's a great cover. I love it. You can find this book for cheap, probably in dollar bins, honestly. But even if you don't want a reprint, there's still Thor 135. It's his second appearance, his first appearance of Fafnir, his first appearance of a few other characters that High Evolutionary had created himself. And weirdly enough, it's first time Thor's hammer is called Mjolnir. A random choice, but kind of surprising that it took that long. I don't know how true that is, honestly, but, online, a lot of places call it that. So who knows, maybe that's wrong, but that's what I've been told. But regardless, this is a book you still buy for really cheap. I mean, like $20, $30 for a decent copy. Fafnir is kind of the way to go there. And like I said, second appearance High Evolutionary, I think it's part of his origin. I know we get origin later in an annual. That's a book I'll talk about in future videos, but that's a good secondary book instead of the 134. Anyway, this is the end of the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I will be doing a lot more videos like this in the future. It's first in a series of hopefully many, alongside other reviews and all kinds of stuff I got coming for the channel. Working on my own movie, working on my own comic, all kinds of stuff. You can follow me here and on Facebook and Instagram. Plus, I run a Facebook group called Fandoms Unleashed, where you can have an inside scoop what goes on behind the scenes at Connor's Comics, and you can be involved in decision making on future content and all kinds of stuff. Plus, there's tons of great discussions going on, and just go give it a join, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one.